In October 1347, 12 Genoese trading ships docked at the Sicilian port of Messina. The harbor authorities expected spices and silk, but they found a nightmare. The sailors aboard were ravaged by fevers and necrotic swellings. This 14th century illumination records the scale of the resulting collapse. Within 6 years, the Black Death killed an estimated 25 million people, wiping out between 30 and 50% of the entire European population. Faced with a contagion they couldn't stop, the elite, university-trained physicians fled the cities. They retreated to isolated country estates, abandoning the urban poor and the merchant classes to their fate. To maintain medical and civic order in these empty cities, municipal governments were forced to create a new role. They drafted strict, legally binding contracts to hire community plague doctors, civil servants tasked with entering the quarantine zones that everyone else shunned. We recognize these doctors by their terrifying silhouette: the ankle-length dark coat, heavy gloves, and a bird-like mask with unblinking glass eyes. We've come to view this image as the definitive symbol of the medieval apocalypse. But historical records from the 14th century Black Death show that this uniform did not actually exist during those first outbreaks. Medieval physicians wore standard robes and carried handheld bags of aromatic herbs to their patients' bedsides. This comprehensive protective suit was actually the work of Charles de Lorme, a physician to the French monarchy who designed the ensemble in 1619. This primary source from 1656 details the head-to-toe coverage that de Lorme engineered to seal the body away from the environment. If 17th century science had no concept of germs or bacteria, we have to look at what they believed they were guarding against to understand why they engineered such a specific, airtight shape. Medical practice was rooted in miasma theory, the belief that disease was caused by bad air. Physicians posited that highly toxic, invisible vapors emanated from rotting matter and unburied corpses, instantly corrupting the body's internal fluids upon inhalation. The iconic beak functioned as a deliberate respiratory filter, engineered to force incoming toxic air through a long corridor of aromatic shielding. Doctors stuffed the cavity with roses, spices, and vinegar-soaked sponges. The clinical logic: a powerful counter-odor would neutralize the airborne threat. Beneath the mask, the doctor's body was entirely encased in heavy Moroccan leather. The garments were treated with wax or animal fat to make the fabric impermeable, sealing the skin away from the corrupted atmosphere. This was a meticulously engineered piece of personal protective equipment, built for a science that wouldn't be debunked for another 200 years. Because their understanding was flawed, internal medicines failed completely. This ornate container held theriac, an expensive paste of 60 ingredients, including viper flesh and raw opium. While providing narcotic pain relief, it had no effect on the underlying infection. We now know the true vector wasn't air, but the Xenopsilla chiopus flea. These insects lived on black rats and humans, transmitting the Yersinia pestis bacteria directly into the bloodstream through their bites. When those fleas attempted to jump from a dying patient onto the attending physician, they hit the waxed leather. They couldn't bite through the thick material, and they couldn't gain a foothold on the slick, oiled surface, preventing them from infesting the doctor's clothing. The suit was designed to block a toxic vapor that didn't exist, but it accidentally functioned as flawless physical armor against the insect bites and aerosolized fluids that were the real threat. Beyond their failed clinical treatments, these doctors served a vital administrative role. They acted as early epidemiologists, meticulously recording mortality data and identifying the trajectory of these localized outbreaks for city administrators. They were also responsible for enforcing the quarantino, the mandatory 40-day observation period for arriving ships, first pioneered in the Mediterranean. Plague doctors operated deep within these isolated zones, separating the sick from the healthy population. By managing specialized island hospitals and tracking these demographics, these municipal employees established the protocols for maritime quarantine and urban isolation that remain the standard for modern outbreak control. The reign of miasma theory only ended in the late 19th century with the establishment of germ theory. Experiments by researchers like Louis Pasteur finally proved that invisible, living microorganisms, not foul odors, were the true cause of disease. In 1894, during an outbreak in Hong Kong, bacteriologist Alexandra Yersin finally isolated the exact bacterium responsible for the plague. Looking through his microscope, Yersin identified the microbe that necessitated the plague doctor's suit for centuries. Once their medical necessity vanished, the image of the plague doctor mutated into a theatrical icon. In the 18th century, it became a staple of Italian theater, mocking the helplessness of physicians, before eventually evolving into the Gothic horror avatar we see in pop culture today. But the historical reality is one of methodical persistence. Plague doctors were brave public servants who stepped into the abyss when everyone else fled, armed only with the flawed, brilliant science of their time.